All right, so in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to break down a slow and somber minor key blues. I'm going to show you how to play all of it note for note, actually both parts, both rhythm and lead. And I'm using an acoustic resonator guitar, which I'll speak more about in just a minute, but you could use any guitar you've got. This will work great on electric guitar as well. So there's two components. There's a rhythm part, which is a percussive fingerstyle rhythm, and then there's a lead part, and you put the two parts together and it sounds great. Now if you've got a friend and you want to play along with, this would be a great lesson for that. One of you could play lead, one rhythm, and then you could swap it off. If you don't have a friend, or if you don't have a friend that plays guitar, I've got you covered because you can download the jam track, and I've got a jam track for both parts. So in this video, we're going to break down the rhythm, and it's a percussive fingerstyle rhythm. And I love this style of playing because it sounds so good by yourself, and it's not technical. This is not Chet Atkins or Tommy Emmanuel stuff. This is just sort of a percussive thing where your thumb is doing the bass part, and then you're slapping it to get sort of like a snare drum. It's very laid back, very chill, and you can get a lot of mileage out of this technique. So if you're a fingerstyle player, you're going to love this. If you're not a fingerstyle player, you're still going to love this because you're going to be able to do this by the end of this video. I'm going to break down in a few basic steps, and I'm telling you, I'm not a great fingerstyle player myself. I know the struggle, but I'm able to do this with no problem, and you can do it too. So I've got the lesson split into two parts. The rhythm part is going to be in this video. If you'd like to learn the lead, download the tablature for both parts, download both MP3 jam tracks. You can get all those extra materials to practice this by going to activemelody.com. Okay, so this guitar is a mule resonator guitar, and it's just the coolest looking, smelling, it actually smells great, sounding, playing guitar. So to me, a guitar has to kind of hit on three things. It has to look good, sound good, and then play good. If you can get all of those things right, you've got a great guitar. And this is definitely one of those. This is new to me. I've only had it for about a week, but I'm just loving it. And it came with these strings. These are pretty heavy gauge strings. It's like maybe I'm guessing like a 13 gauge string on it, but even with that, it's easy to play, and so that says a lot about it. So you'll be seeing and probably hearing this quite a bit in future lessons. I'm really loving it. I haven't even checked out the pickup. It's got a pickup in it. I'm sure that sounds great too. We'll find out, and I'll include that in a lesson coming up. But anyway, I thought it'd be cool to use this in sort of a non-conventional resonator way. A lot of times when we see resonators, we think of slide guitar, and there's sort of that stereotype, but the tone of a resonator is so cool and so unique. And I wanted to show that you could play a cool fingerstyle rhythm and layer on a lead, and you could do both parts with the same sound. And I just loved the way that this turned out, the way that the tone of this is. So I'll put some contact information up if you'd like to learn more about this guitar or find out any details. You can email Matt, and I'm sure he'll tell you. Or if you'd like to order one for yourself, you can do that as well. Okay, so let's listen to the first part of this rhythm, and then we'll break it down. All right, so we started with this. Right? That's an E minor 7 chord. That's the first little bit, nothing technical there, right? So just play an E minor chord, put your pinky down on the 3rd fret 2nd string for that flat 7 note. And then when I played it, I played all 6 strings. Now, the timing of this, so that's when I hit that first E, that low E, that starts the 1. In terms of timing. I mean, there was no click track in this, but if you just sort of feel it out, this would be like, timing it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go into the next measure, and that starts the 1 of the next measure. So that's kind of the timing component of this. Okay, so now here's how we're going to get into the percussive fingerstyle thing here. Here's how I want you to think about doing this. First of all, the 2 chords that we're going to be playing are in E minor, and we're going to be up here. This is an E minor using the A minor shape. There's the E using the A shape. There's the A minor, right? You flat the 3rd. And then your A major. So it's E minor, A major. That's A major using the E shape. Now, when you play this, the first thing I want you to do is make the chord. We're going to get the bass part and the snare drum down first. So this is how I learned to do this. So I'd play bass and then slap the strings. You're really just muting the sound. You don't have to slap it hard. This isn't anything aggressive. I mean, you can, I guess, but you don't have to. So it's like this. So we're going to do one. So if we're counting this, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to switch to our A chord. And now your thumb is going to hit the 6th string. So when I did this, I'm hitting the 5th string. When I played down here, I'm going to hit the 6th string. So now we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now go back and forth. All right? Not hard, right? You can do that. You're like more than halfway if you can do that. Okay, so now here's what we're going to introduce to that. So making that E minor chord here, we're going to play this. Now I'm using my thumb on the 5th string, my ring finger on the 2nd string, and watch this. Now what I did was I lifted my middle finger, do a pull off like that, and then mute the strings. So it's that's my snare drum. Now after that, I'm going to use my middle finger to hit the 3rd string out of this chord. So it's like this. Now we're going to go back to our bass. Now after I hit that bass, I'm going to lift all 3 fingers and just leave the bar, because that's the only note I need to hit there, is that 3rd string. So it's like this. And then we're going to slide down to your A. And what I'm doing there is play your A chord using the E shape, take your pinky off so that you get that flat 7. It's really an A7. And what I'm doing is I'm hammering on. So I lift my middle finger, and I'm going to use these 2 fingers to play the middle 2 strings, strings 3 and 4. So I can do that hammer on. So it sounds like this. And then after that hammer on, I'm going to hit the bass note. And then there's the percussion. So it's like this. Let's put it all together. Okay? Now after that, we're going to do 2 bass notes. Right? So it's like, now that's it. That's it for the first part. Let's repeat it. And what you're creating is kind of 3 things. You've got the bass part, you've got the snare drum, and then you've got this little melody going. Right? And to me, that's just almost magical that you can do that. But when you see the simplicity of it in terms of your right hand, it's really not technical. And what you're able to do, with that technique is just amazing. You can start to really play melodies, rhythms, bass parts all at once. You become sort of a one-man band or one-woman band. All right, so that's the first part, and I did that 3 times. One more. Now after that, watch this. I threw in that little line. I don't know where that came from. I don't know. But anyway, somebody out there will say, oh, that's such and such. And it probably is. But I needed something to sort of separate the parts. And that's what I came up with. And so what I'm playing here is an octave. It's actually not a chord. I've got a G note here, 3rd fret, 6th string. I've got another G note up here. And I use my pinky for that. Some of you would probably use your ring finger. It doesn't really matter which finger you use. But those 2 notes, so they're just an octave apart. And if you keep that positioning there, you can use it to play, all your notes. So all I'm doing is going G, A, B, G, and then down to my E, but using the octave technique. And I slid that. And then back to G, and then I just slide down, and I use my pinky there on that 2nd fret 4th string with the open 6th string. And then after that E, I just played open string 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I did all open just so I can take my hand off the fretboard and reposition it to something else. Now I realize that D note is really not in my E minor, but it still kind of worked. Now after that I went into this part. It's the same chords though. It's still an E minor to an A. I'm just doing it in first position down here as opposed to doing it up here, just to give some variety. Okay, so here's how I played this part. Let's look at that. So for that E minor, I'm playing the E minor 7 chord here, and the strings that I'm playing are 6 with my thumb, and then I'm going to put my index finger on the 4th string, my middle finger on the 3rd string, and my ring finger on the 2nd string. So I play it like this: 6, 4, 3, 2, and then back to 6. So, and then open 1 string, slap. So put it all together. And then to your A chord. And the way I'm playing that A chord is I've just got my ring finger and my middle finger on the 2nd fret, strings 2 and 4. I'm actually not playing anything on that 3rd string. That makes it more of an A7 really. So it's really an A7 instead of an A. So it's like this. Now once I get to that A, I hit that bass again twice like that. So it's, and then we go back. Now the second time through, when I got to that E minor 7, I played it like this. So I just went backwards on strings 1 and 2. Instead of going 4, 3, 2, 1, I went 4, 3, 1, 2. So it's, and this is the stuff, I didn't know this until after the fact, until I'm sitting here explaining it, and I noticed that's what I did. Probably just did it out of, probably an accident, but either way, it gives it a little variety. And that's really all there is to the cadence of the second time through this E minor part. Right? And then the third time. And then I came back to this. Back to that same little hook. All right, so now we're going to come to the second part of this rhythm, sort of the B part, and we're going to play an A minor, and we're going to go back to an E minor. We'll do that again. We'll go back to an A minor, and then we're going to play a C, and then a B7, and then that'll get us back to the intro, or back to the beginning. So the way that I'm playing this A minor, it's easy with the left hand. You just make an A minor chord. With the right hand, it's still the same principle as thumb, slap, but we're going to play some notes in between. So it's like this. And what I'm doing for that is thumb, index finger hits the 4th string, slap. And then we do a ring finger on the 2nd string. Then middle finger on the 3rd string. So now let's put that together. Now watch this. Pinky goes down, I keep that A minor shape, and then my pinky goes down on the 3rd fret 1st string. So it's like this. And so after that pinky on the 3rd fret 1st string, go back to the bass note, and then I hit the 2nd string with my middle finger. So it's like this. Slap. And then move my pinky down to the 2nd fret, bass note, 2nd string, slap. So it's repeated. So it's like. So let's put that together for this A minor part. So you have. And then for this E minor, I'm going to play an E minor chord in first position. And then I use my pinky. Some of you may want to use your ring finger on the 2nd fret 1st string, but we're going to play that same rhythm. The bass note's going to be on the 6th string now, so it's going to be like this. Notice I'm hitting that 2nd fret 1st string. And then I take my pinky off to play the open 1st string. Just try and get that groove. It's like 1 and 2, and whatever you do in between doesn't really matter. You can mix it up as long as you've got some consistency on the bass and the snare. And then the song goes back to the A minor, but instead of me playing it here, I played it up here in the E shape. So I played it like this. I just barred the first 3 strings on the 5th fret, and then I put my ring finger on the 7th fret 4th string. And I played, that's all I did. I didn't do a full bar. So I still played the open 5th string. So I play it like this. Right? Same rhythm. So it goes. Then I put my pinky down on the 7th fret 1st string. So it's like this. Isn't that a cool little embellishment off that A minor? You can see how you can take the same rhythm pattern and apply it to all these chord shapes. And then the song goes to that C. It's actually a C7. I'm going to play it up here. Use a C chord using the E shape. Take my pinky off to get the C7. And I'm using the same rhythm pattern. So it's bass, index fingers plucking the 3rd string, slap, and then my ring finger hits the 1st string. So it's like that. And then slide that down and play the same thing for the B. And that's the 5 chord of your E minor. And that sets you back to go through the loop again. Now I didn't put an ending on this. If you wanted to end it, you could, after this B, you could just go down and hit your E minor chord. Actually, that same intro chord. That would work, right? So you could throw in an ending that way. Otherwise, you can just loop it and just continue to practice playing it. So that's how you loop it. You go back into it. All right. So I hope you got something out of this and you're starting to get the groove. Don't get frustrated with it. I know fingerstyle can just trip people up. I know how frustrating it is. Trust me, I've spent many hours pulling my hair out trying to get some of this stuff down with my right hand. But this percussive fingerstyle is something that it locked in at one point and I was just able to do it. And it really is as simple as doing this. You start to, start with a simple bass and a snare, and then you can start layering in things in between. That's how I've been able to do it anyway. All right, if you've got any comments, please leave them on here. If you just liked something, if something clicked with you for the first time with fingerstyle, that would be awesome to hear. Or if you just had some kind of revelation in something, that would be great to hear. If you've got questions or problems with anything, leave comments on those as well. I like to hear those as well. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed this. Come join us for part 2, where we'll go over the lead part, and I'll show you how to layer that on top of everything we've just learned here. Remember, that's at activemelody.com. All right, we'll see you in part 2.